Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Shilpa Data Insights.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we will be talking about one more interview question that is asked in most of the interviews in big MNC's company. So in this video, we will be covering the interview question that was asked in Capgemini. If you want to know more interview questions, then I would recommend you to watch my the complete playlist that I have, which covers a lot of questions or a lot of wide variety of questions related to PySpark and Spark SQL. And I've given you different approaches how exactly you can solve those problems. So I will definitely highly recommend you to go ahead and watch the complete playlist from the beginning to end to get to know about the interview questions that are asked in big MNC's company as well as in the big four consulting company. So, before we start, I would like you to tell that in this particular question, we will be using Python, right? And if you are not aware of Python, this question will be difficult to solve because in companies, when you are solving a Spark question, either it can be done using Spark SQL or it can be done using PySpark. There are two ways. Some questions cannot be solved using Spark SQL. In that case, you need to use your PySpark code, right? So in this, you need to know the Python basics. You don't need to know a lot advanced about Python, but basics of Python you need to know basically in order to solve this question. Like what type of data structures are there, like list, tuple, dictionary, and all. So I hope you know about Python. If you don't know, please go ahead, watch any video related to Python. I have created a Python playlist as well, which covers all the topics that are required by a data engineer to study. You don't need to study everything. There's a lot of things in Python, but whatever need to be learned from basic to advanced, I have covered in that particular video. That is the Python roadmap. I will pin it in I button. You can learn it if you are beginner in the Python language. So before we start, this is my page. You can go ahead and refer to all the videos that are in the playlist and practice your interview questions. So without any delay, let's get started with our question of the day. So I will start the cluster first, which is my cluster, which is 12.2 LTS in Databricks. I'm solving this question in Databricks, but if you want to use any other environment and you have your Hadoop system also integrated or you have already set it up, you can run this question in the Hadoop system as well. So just for easy access, it's better you use your Databricks and you don't have to create a Spark session also. It is already inbuilt and you can just run the code and test it and practice. So now if you will see, I have this data set. In this data set, I have my first column called ID, second as name, third as age, fourth gender, and marks. So basically, this is a table which is having the data of students who have secured some marks. So I have this data set and I have my schema written. So using the schema, I will be creating a data frame using spark.create data frame. If you don't know how to create a data frame, I will highly recommend you to watch my previous video in which I've explained to you how to create a data frame using different methods and how to create schema as well using different methods in my schema creation video. I'll pin both of them in the I button. You can go ahead and watch it out. Now, this is ready. This data is ready. Okay, so if you will see, we have ID, we have name, age, gender, and marks. Now, what I need, my output. In the output, I need ID and age. These two are integer, if you will see, and name and gender is a string, and marks is a float data type. So what I need is I need to create a folder called integer, and string and float. So there will be three folders that I need to create: integer, string, and float. And in the integer folder, I need to go ahead and save the data which is having the integer data type. So it means ID and age are having integer data type, so it will store in the folder int. And name and gender is having a string data type, so it will go ahead and store it in the string folder. Marks is also a float data type, so it will store the marks in the float folder. Okay, so if you will see in this ID, name, age, gender, and marks, these two are integer and these are string data type. If you want to actually go ahead, and if you are using Hadoop, this will not show up. So in that case, what you can do is you can go ahead and use a print schema. Before that, I have just ran this so that I can import all the functions which are present inside the pyspark.sql.functions. Now I have my data frame created. In the data frame, I will do a print schema. If you are using a different Hadoop system, right, then you can do a print schema in order to check what is the schema of your data frame. So once you have checked your data frame schema, how you can get the data type of each column. Using this, you are just printing the schema, but you need to store, let's say, or you need to go ahead and manipulate the data type. You need to get the data type, store it in a variable. So for that, we have a function called d types. So if I show you help d types here, it is giving me an error. D types is not defined. Let me do one thing. Let me go ahead and print df dot d types. Okay, if you will see, we already have a function here, not function, a particular module here which is having d types. So d types, what it does is it gives you a tuple. In the tuple, it will give you the column name and your data type. So ID is having integer data type, name is having string data type, age is having integer data type, gender is having string data type, and marks is having string data type. As I was saying, you need to know some Python basics. So what is this? This is a tuple. So if you know the Python basics, this video will be easier for you to understand. But no worries, I will tell you step by step whatever I am doing so that you understand exactly how to solve this question. So what I will do first is I will use two approach here. First approach, I will tell you how to solve it. So let me go ahead and mention here first approach. Okay. In this first approach, I will take a dictionary. I'll take an empty dictionary. Why I am taking an empty dictionary? It's because I will go ahead and inside this empty dictionary, I will use the integer. Let's say integer is having id, id column is having integer data type, and age is also having integer data type. So what I will do is I will first check what is the data type. Okay, I'll loop over this particular list. I'll check the data type. If the data type is not present in this dictionary, I will add the data type. Okay, and update the values. Basically, I will put the keys as int and I will update the values as id. Now, in the next loop, it will see that string is also not present in dictionary. It will go ahead and add the string data type here as the key and name as the value. Then it comes to integer. Now we already have integer in the key in the dictionary. So in the dictionary, you cannot have two same keys, right? That is not possible. So you can update the values of the key, right? So in that case, as integer is already there, what I will do is integer key is already present. So if it is already present, I will go ahead and update the values of the integer, which was only ID. I will update this ID to ID plus age. Means I will create a list which is having ID column and the age column. Then it will come to the string again, and it will see, yes, string was already present as a key. So it will create a list having name and gender. Then it will go to float, and it will see that float was not present in the dictionary before. So it will just go ahead and create a key called float and its value called marks. Let's try to code this up. It will be much more clearer in exactly how we can do. Now we know the logic, what we need to do. As we know the logic, let's write down the code. Then I will explain you bit by bit, step by step, how exactly it's been done. So what I will do is, first, I will go ahead and iterate it through the loop. So I will do for I in df dot d types. In the df dot d types, I'll check if I of 1 in the dictionary, in the dictionary key, right? If the dictionary keys is having the value, then we have to do something. I'm sorry, here it should be if. I of 1 means what? I is this df of d types. This is my df of d types, right? So if I of 1 is in dictionary keys, then we have to do some step. Okay, let's keep the if blank first. Now we will see if we don't have that particular key in the dictionary, then what I will do is I will go ahead and update the list. So let me first create a list. Okay, in that I will go ahead and append my value. What is my value? I of 0. It means I will append this ID into my empty list, right? So now this is complete. Now my list is getting ready with ID here. Now I will go ahead and update my dictionary with this particular value. Okay, so this particular value is what? Now as I have appended the value of this ID into my list, so I will just update the key to the list. So what I mean is, if you will see, I'm doing I of 1 is colon L. What does that mean? This I will be putting it as a dictionary, not as a tuple. Okay, so it means I will be updating this I of 1, that is integer, to my list. Now what does this list have? It has only ID. Okay, so it only has ID. Now this is my else part, because I don't have any value in the dictionary, as the dictionary key is empty. Therefore it goes to the else. It will append that I of 0, that is my column name, into my list, and I will put the key, that is my integer, and my list value, that is my ID, that is my column name. Now in the next iteration, it will find the integer already as the key. So what I will do is I will go ahead and check. I'll get the values basically of the dictionary. If it is present, then I will get the value of the dictionary and I will append the I of 0, and then I will update the dictionary with the same value, that is this. And I will print my dictionary. So let's see what is my result. So now you see, in my integer, I'm getting ID and age. in the string I am getting name and gender, and in the float I am getting the marks. Now just pause the video for a minute or a second and go through this code and check if you can understand this code or not. I will reiterate this code and explain you what is happening. Now, in the we are creating an empty dictionary and we are iterating through the df.d types, which is with from this complete list. I'm iterating each element. The each element is id and int. It will check if in the dictionary the key is present, that is if this integer, that is I of 1, is present in my dictionary, then it will go ahead and get the value of this. Means it will get the value, that is id, into my list, and it will append the I of 0, that is into my list. This is I of 1, means it will get the value of this key, that is integer, and append it into the list. Once it is appended, then it will update the dictionary, and if in case it doesn't find, it will create an empty list. Once an empty list is created, then it will append the value of this key and update the dictionary. Okay, so now I have my dictionary ready, but my requirement is what? My requirement is to save this id and age into an integer folder. So how I can do that? What I will do is I will iterate again through this particular dictionary. I'll iterate through the dictionary dot keys and I'll create a data frame. In the data frame, what I will do is I will select my dictionary get I, means whatever key is there, that is integer, I will get this integer, and I am going to write this data to a folder, and I will be using my mode, let's say overwrite. I will be overwriting the folder every time the data I'm running this code, and I'm saving this. Let's say I will save this to my file store, and why is it caps? Let me remove this caps. File store, and let's say output. Today's is 20 Feb. 20 Feb. And I want my folder name to be my data type, that is my integer. Okay, so I'm just going ahead and creating an f string, and I will be putting the data into this particular folder. I'll be writing it into my write mode. If I will show you in the catalog, I don't have any folder here right now called output 20 Feb. So I'll create a folder first. Inside that folder, I will be creating other folders called int, string, and float. It says there is an error, does not have, okay, so there is a spelling mistake here, dict.keys. Okay, there's one more error here. Let's see what it is. df.select dict df.select dict.get of I. Okay. Okay, so this should be dict.get of I. So now it's running and it's computing the version, and it will execute and will give you the result. If you will see, then a folder called output 20 Feb will be created, in which you will have a folder called integer, in which you will have your data. The data will be in the part file, so don't get afraid if you see the part files. I hope you know the concept of part files that actually is there in Spark. So let me, okay, here we go. So I see the output 25th and three folders called float, int, and string. And in each folder, you will see the part files in which basically the data is present. So this is how you can go ahead and save your data into your folder. Now, let's say what I will do is I will go ahead and use a different approach in it. This time I have used dictionary, but this time let me go ahead and use just the list, and let's see if we can solve not using another data structure like dictionary. We can just use the list and solve this question. So I will use list comprehension to solve it. If you are not comfortable with list comprehension, just use list and solve this question. So I will create a variable called integer columns in which I'll be storing all the column names which are having integer. So for that, I will be going ahead and running through the loop of the df types. So I will do a for column, comma, d types in df dot d types. I want my column names. So if I iterate through this df dot d types, there are two indexes, right? As it's a tuple. One is the column, another is my data type, right? So what I'm doing is while I'm iterating through this complete list, I'm assigning this 0 value as column name and the first value as my d types. And if I do this, I want only those columns if the d type is equal to int. I don't want anything which is not int in the d types. So I will be storing all the values which are having the d types int into my integer columns, and I'll just need the column names. I don't need the d types, right? So therefore I'm just getting the column names and I'm putting it into my integer columns. So let's do the same thing for the float and the string. So I'll just mention here, let's say string, and I'll mention here for the float. So if the d type is string, then you just give me the result. If d type is float, then give me the result. Okay. Now, once I have these three in my variable, I want to select those columns. Okay. So I want to select those columns. What I will do is I'll create a data frame. I'll do a df.select, just my int calls. Similarly, I will do it for the rest. This is my string and this is my float. This is my float. So if I go ahead and want to save this into my file, I can do that in the same approach as we did it using the write mode. Okay. Or if you want, you can just do a display. So rather than just writing it again back to that same folder, I'll just do a display to show you. You can write it by your own, right? So I'll do an int df.display. So see what I'm getting ID and age. That is my data frame, integer data frame, right? So I'm getting all the data which is having the integer column, and I'm getting the data set out of it. Now let me also do a string and the float df and show you the result. In the string df, you will get your string data type, and in this float, you will get the float data type. So let me execute this. You see, you have ID, age, name, gender are string. These are the records, and marks, which is a float. So these are the records. So I hope you have understood both the approach. One is using my dictionary, and you are creating a list and appending the values of the keys, whatever are there into the list, like the column names into the list, and then updating the dictionary value for that particular key. Then the next approach is using the list comprehension, in which you are getting your column and your data types and checking if your d types is integer. Then you are returning those columns. And if you have to read the column values, then you are just selecting the data that is there in these column values and creating a data frame, which you can go ahead and write it back to your file as we stated in the above. So this was the whole question for that was asked in Capgemini. It could be a little tricky if you don't know Python, but if you know Python, you will be able to solve this question using the either the list comprehension or dictionary. I hope you have understood everything, and if you have liked this video, then do hit the like button, subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends as well. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you have a good day.